Dear cuties, அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம், வந்தனம், நமஸ்காரம். இப்போ next concept நம்ம இன்னைக்கு பார்க்க போறது mineral nutrition. I like to give a brief idea regarding mineral nutrition. So ஏற்கனவே micronutrients பத்தி பார்த்திருக்கோம். So அதோட continuation தான் this mineral nutrition. How the history of mineral nutrition எப்படி அதை பத்தி நிறைய சொல்லியிருக்கா. The scientist did a lot of work in mineral nutrition. That's the introduction. Von Helmont, being the scientist in the year 1648, first observed mineral nutrition in plants. He did 5 years experiment in the soil. Soil, the only available water to plant is capillary water. And water water with various minerals in it. We are calling it as soil solution. Instead of water, the plant is absorbing the soil solution, water with various minerals in it. That absorb he reported that increase in organic substance in plants comes from water alone. Water he reported in the year 1648. Then Woodward, in the year 1699, informed that the soil provide mineral nutrients required for their growth. So growth is nothing but the permanent irreversible change in plants. That irreversible change need nutrients, minerals, the minerals supplied by soil. Report D. Saussure, in the year 1804. Plant growth depends on nitrogen and other elements absorbed by roots from soil. So we know 3 elements are very important: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. This nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, especially nitrogen, absorbed from the soil with the help of root, especially rootas, the 1804, like he reported. Then Liebig, a scientist, gave the law of minimum. Productivity of soil depends on the amount of essential elements present in minimum quantity. So productivity of the soil either depend pannirukona adula irukkudiya elements depend pannirukkom sattu appdina vechuko. Then Julius von Sachs demonstrated growing a plant in a defined nutrient solution. Or culture mediathla nutrient mediathla Julian von Sachs 1860 la first grow the plants. And finally, William Frederick Goerek, Griffith experiment. It is not Griffith, Goerek. 1940 gave the term hydroponics and the commercial technique. Commercial hydroponics first report pannar. The scientist idea from Von Helmont to William Frederick Goerek. But mineral nutrition criteria. Essentiality of the mineral, the criteria for the essentiality of minerals proposed by Ornon and Stout proposed. Elements necessary for growth and development. Growth, permanent irreversible change followed by development of the plant. So elements necessary for growth and development of the plant, and the element has the direct role in metabolism. The network of biochemical reactions occur in all normal living cells. Third is, it cannot be replaced by other elements. Mineral nutrients, they are responsible for, they are needed for, they are necessary for growth and development. They play a vital role in metabolism. Very important. Plant photosynthesis. Photolysis of water need manganese, calcium, and chloride ions. Magnesium is an essential component for the formation of chlorophyll. It cannot be replaced by other elements, so it plays a vital role. And finally, deficiency of these elements makes the plant impossible to complete that vegetative and reproductive phase. So in the life cycle of plants, 2 phases are reported. One is the vegetative phase, another is the reproductive phase. The phases veg and the reproductive phases are complete only the minerals are present in a sufficient quantities. Deficiency of these elements or minerals what will happen? Impossible for the plant to complete either the vegetative growth or the reproductive growth. So this is very important in the terms in Aachko. Next எடுத்துட்டோம்னா nutrients அப்படின்னு சொல்றப்ப macronutrients நிறைய வேணும். We need the plant need a lot. Micro, the plant system need a lesser amount of these elements. And finally, unclassified, it is not considered as either macro or micronutrient. So excess than 10 millimole kg minus 1 in tissue concentration or 0.1 to 10 milligram per gram of dry weight, we are calling it as macro. This is very important. 0.1 to 10 milligram per gram of dry weight. That's number macro chollu 0.1 to 10% varaiyum irpa. Example, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Micro less than 10 millimole kg minus 1 in tissue concentration or equal or less than 0.1 milligram per gram dry weight. You know, dry weight is nothing but the entire water is removed from the plant body. Astin cholluva. So if the entire water is removed from the plant body, we are calling it as a dry weight. So less than 0.1 milligram per gram of dry weight of the plant, we are calling it as micronutrient. Example, iron, here manganese, copper, molybdenum, zinc, boron, chlorine, and nickel. And finally, unclassified elements, the plant system. Some plants need these elements in very minute quantities to perform certain functions, certain specific functions. Example is sodium, cobalt, silicon, and selenium. So either macro, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Micro, iron, manganese, copper, molybdenum, zinc, boron, chlorine, and nickel. And finally, unclassified sodium, cobalt, silicon, and selenium. ரொம்ப சிம்பிள் தான், இருந்தாலும் இந்த பேர்லாம் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ, படிச்சுட்டு பேர் கொஞ்சம் நிறையா இருக்கும், இருந்தாலும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை. Classification of minerals on mobility, how it is translocated from the root to other parts of the plant. Translocation போன கிளாஸ்லேயே பார்த்தோம். Water translocation, water and minerals are translocated through xylem tracheids or xylem vessels. How the minerals are classified on the basis of its mobility or its translocation. One is the mobile element, second is immobile element. Mobile, it can move. Immobile, the movement of the elements may be blocked in certain areas. கொஞ்சம் தூரம் போனவன block ஆகலாம். அதான் இங்க கொடுத்திருக்கா. So mobile, movement, if the movement is blocked in certain areas, we are calling it as the immobile minerals. அப்புறம் இதெல்லாம் effect necrosis, veins போறது தெரியும் உனக்கு, chlorosis, chlorophyll diarrhea அதை கொடுத்திருக்கா உனக்கு. எப்படி இருக்குன்னு சொல்லிங்க பாருங்க. Yellow regions எல்லாமே எது வரும்னா, it represent decrease in the number of chlorophyll content. Chlorophyll, the photosynthetic pigment. If the pigment is somewhat less in this area, we are calling it as chlorosis. Like that, necrosis, see the areas of necrosis. You can see here, necrosis, death of tissues. So, this is very important. Actively mobile minerals. ரொம்ப fast translocate ஆயிண்டே இருப்பா. NPK ரொம்ப முக்கியம். Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, chlorine, sodium, zinc, molybdenum, avalla actively mobile minerals, translocating minerals. And the relatively immobile minerals are calcium, sulfur, iron, boron, and copper. So these things you should remember. Then classification of minerals based on their functions. Enna pandrava, adha vechindu classify pannirukka. It may be a structural component of the plant body. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, structural component. That's very important. And the enzymes, the minerals responsible for the formation of enzymes. Molybdenum, it is a basic constituent of nitrogenase enzyme. Zinc, activator of alcohol dehydrogenase and carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Magnesium, the activator of RBP carboxylase, Rubisco enzyme, RBP, carboxylase oxygenase, like the TEP carboxylase, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. Nickel is a constituent of ureases and hydrogenases. So enzyme function. So classification based on the function. One is the structural component. Second is it is a functional unit of the enzyme. Third is the mineral used to maintain osmotic potential or water potential is potassium. நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பார்த்தோம் potassium malate conversion, opening and closing of stoma controlled னு படிச்சோம். அந்த பொட்டாசியத்தை ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ. Osmotic potential of the cell controlled by potassium. Absorption of water by the root hair is controlled by this potassium, and movement of stomata, opening and closure of stomata controlled by abscisic acid, the hormone, as well as this potassium. And energy components, very important. Energy, magnesium, chlorophyll. Magnesium is an essential component for the formation of chlorophyll. Manganese, calcium, and chloride ions are involved in photolysis of water. And finally, phosphorus. ADP, the conversion of adenosine diphosphate into adenosine triphosphate, the phosphorylation. ATP, the energy currency of a cell, the special carrier of free energy in particular. So classification, structural component, enzyme functions, osmotic potential, and energy components. So either note paniko, then I come to the next. Dear cuties, vanakkam. இப்போ நம்ம பார்க்க போறது அதோட continuation, macronutrients ஓட deficiency நமக்கு என்னென்னலாம் காஸ் பண்ணலாம். நமக்கு கிடையாது. The effects of macronutrients, the functions of macronutrients ஏற்கனவே பார்த்தோம். அதோட deficiency என்ன பண்ணலாம், deficiency symptoms என்ன இருக்கலாம், அதை கொடுத்துருக்கோம். அப்ப deficiency நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பார்த்துருக்கோம். deficiency diseases நிறைய பார்த்துருக்கோம். அதே மாதிரி ஹார்மோனல் டிஃபிஷியன்சி நம்ம நிறைய பார்த்துருக்கோம். எக்ஸஸாக இருந்தால் என்ன வரும்னு பார்த்துருக்கோம். லைக் தட் மேக்ரோநியூட்ரியன்ட் டிஃபிஷியன்சி என்ன பண்ணலாம். ஸோ நைட்ரஜன் டிஃபிஷியன்சி காசஸ் குளோரோசிஸ் அண்ட் ஆந்தோசயானின் ஃபார்மேஷன். பிக்மெண்ட் உனக்கு தெரியும். குளோரோசிஸ், குளோரோஃபில் கண்டென்ட் மேபி ரெடியூஸ்ட் ஆர் குளோரோஃபில் லெவல் கம்மி ஆகிடுவா. Phosphorus deficiency symptom, necrosis, ஏற்கனவே சொன்னதுதான். Inhibition of cambial activity. Cambium, the vesicular cambium, the intervesicular cambium, the cork cambium or phelogen, which are all responsible for secondary growth. So vesicular cambium, intervesicular cambium, secondary growth, and cork cambium or phelogen responsible for bark formation. It may be affected. Potassium deficiency symptom, marginal chlorosis, margin of the leaf level, necrosis, low cambial activity, loss of apical dominance. This is very, very important. Apical dominance caused by the hormone auxin. The stunted growth of the lateral bud when compared to the apical bud is said to be apical dominance caused by the hormone auxin. எப்பயுமே ஏபிக்கல் பட்டோட growth நிறையா இருக்கும். lateral bud growth is suppressed. The hormone auxin is responsible for apical dominance. Potassium deficiency leads to loss of apical dominance, then lodging in cereals and curled leaf margin. Cereals affect பண்ணலாம். அதே மாதிரி curled leaf margin வரதுக்கு வளைஞ்சி போயிடலாம் leaf margin. Then calcium deficiency, chlorosis, necrosis, stunted growth, premature fall of leaves and flowers. Premature fall of leaves and flowers prevented by spraying auxin. இது வரப்போது ஞாபகம். Auxin hormone spray பண்ணா என்ன ஆகும்னா the fall of leaves, premature fall of leaves, flowers and fruit is prevented. But deficiency of this calcium leads to premature fall of leaves and flowers. Inhibit seed formation, black heart of celery, hooked leaf tip in sugar beet. These are all the diseases. And magnesium. Magnesium is an essential component for the formation of chlorophyll. Here it is responsible for intervenal chlorosis, necrosis, anthocyanin pigment formation, and sand drawn of tobacco, the disease. And finally, sulfur deficiency symptom of sulfur causes chlorosis, anthocyanin formation, stunted growth, rolling of leaf tip, and reduced nodulation in legumes. This is very, very important. In legumes, root nodule bacterium rhizobium is present where symbiotic association takes place. Symbiosis means mutual benefit. Rhizobium fixes the atmospheric nitrogen in the form of nitrites and nitrates and get food from the plant. So in an association of a living organism, both are benefited. We are calling it as symbiosis. Root nodule bacterium rhizobium nyauchko. The deficiency of sulfur leads to reduced nodulation in legumes. If that nodule formation is somewhat reduced, what will happen? The nitrogen fixing ability is also reduced. So these things are very important in macronutrients. Like that, micronutrients, functions and deficiency. Here only the deficiency: iron, manganese, copper, zinc, boron, molybdenum, chlorine, nickel. What a role in a first key. Deficiency of nickel causes necrosis of leaf tips. Deficiency of chlorine, wilting of leaf tips. Molybdenum deficiency causes chlorosis, necrosis, delayed flowering, retarded growth, whiptail disease of cauliflower. This disease is very important. Then deficiency of boron, very important, death of root and shoot tips. So leads to death of the plant. Premature fall of flowers and fruits, brown heart of beetroot, internal cork of apple and fruit cracks. So in the necrosis of leaf tips, wilting of leaf tips, whiptail disease of cauliflower, internal cork of apple, fruit cracks, then brown heart of beetroot, like that. In the names very important. Zinc deficiency leads to little leaf and motile leaf due to deficiency of oxen. So zinc deficiency as well as oxen deficiency causes this disease. Then intervenal chlorosis, intervenal in between the veins chlorosis takes place. Stunted growth, necrosis, and Chiara disease of rice. Chiara disease is the class. I will show the picture in the next class. And copper deficiency causes dieback of citrus, reclamation disease of cereals and legumes, chlorosis, necrosis. This is very important. Exanthema in citrus. Then manganese deficiency causes intervenal necrosis. See here, manganese deficiency as well as zinc deficiency causes intervenal chlorosis, gray spot on oats leaves and poor root system. Poor root system formation due to manganese deficiency. Iron deficiency causes intervenal chlorosis, formation of short and slender stalk, chlorophyll formation, like that. So these things are very, very important. The names la or naal tharava eidi paathukonum appadhaan nalla ella panna mudiyum. Okay, thanks a lot for hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you.